Welcome back to Chessometrics. We are right now at the German Youth Chess Championship. Katharina is here as a trainer and I will just play for the last time. And now I would just like to show you my first round with the white pieces and show you the critical moments, and let's see how the game unfolded. So I was just thinking to play the move first b3, because in the preparation I was seeing that my opponent is a very aggressive player and I just wanted to get a decent game, just a normal development, and then just see how the game unfolds. So b3, he played the move knight f6. I was more focused in the preparation on like d5 or e5, occupying the center. It's of course the drawback of b3 that you don't put the pawn in the center. So I was expecting d5 or e5, but knight f6 just of course a solid move. Bishop b2, he played g6, also fianchetering the bishop. I played knight f3, bishop g7, g3, short castle, bishop g2, normal developing moves. And here he fought for like 9 minutes and played the move c5, which is of course normal, but you shouldn't think that long in such a position, just play the move. c4, occupying the center as well, knight c6, short castle. And here at the first moment he fought for 15 minutes, around about 15 minutes, and he decided to play the move d6. Very logical, normal move. You try to develop the bishop and just see what happens. But of course he could also occupy the center, take some space. I will take the pawn, and after knight takes d5, bishop takes g7, king takes, I can either play queen c1 and then something like queen b2 check after b6 with a decent slight advantage for white, or even directly d4 and after takes. I have a slight advantage due to the strong bishop on g2 and the typical normal queen's gambit position. So yeah, white is a bit better here. Instead he played d6 after a long thing, so now I had a very decent time advantage. And after the move d3, which is just normal, like developing move, I just wanted to get a slow game and see what happens later. Always a good idea for the first round, just to groove into the game and just to get used to the circumstances. And then, yeah, let's see what happens. So he played the move e5, knight c3. I wanted to take control of the center, of course, central squares. And now he was surprising me with the move bishop e6. I was thinking that he's going to play h6, just stopping knight g6, preparing bishop e6. And I'm not sure what I would have done here. Probably just normal development, but maybe queen d2 is in the game. But then I'm actually not that happy. He will just go bishop e6, and then at some point, if allowed, he will go to the so-called Marozzi structure after d5, c d5, knight d5, and he will have these strong two pawns. So I wasn't sure what to do here. Instead he went for bishop e6, I played knight g5, he went back to c8, and now I was actually for the first time thinking over 10 minutes, around about 12-13 minutes, because here I thought it's quite a critical moment because he's threatening h6, and where does my knight go? So I was thinking about a lot of moves, and the idea that the knight went to g5 is that of course it can go to e4, and also you can play the move f4, which is a very typical idea in such English structures, because you later can play f4 e3 and get kind of a bathtub structure where every square in the center will be attacked and also protected. So this is quite nice. But I wasn't sure about f4 immediately, because there's of course something like h6, knight f3, and then some knight g4. I have a weakness here. I wasn't sure if this is good for white, so I went for queen d2, which I liked a lot. And after h6, knight g4, of course, I was thinking that if he were to move the knight away, I would strike with f4 and have a clear advantage, because I get to my bathtub structure that I've learned from the English systems. Knight f2, and after takes, knight f6, for example, e3, I will just slowly improve my pieces, rook e1, And then at some point I will strike with e4, play some king h1 first, rook g1 I have. And also very important, I have the central control over the square d5. I can always put a piece there, and he cannot occupy my center because I have the beautiful structure to protect everything. And I think I have a clear advantage in this position. So instead he went for knight takes e4, which surprised me a lot, because now after pawn takes, I just have a very clear plan, very clear cut. Rook d1, attack the weakness, knight b5, e3, first maybe to stop knight d4, and then just go for the pawn. So I was thinking, what's this plan? I thought about queen a5, interesting move, because after queen d6 the queen is trapped. But then I saw that queen a5 has a big drawback. I will just go rook d1. Now the pawn is attacked. He has to go rook d8. And now after the move knight b5, takes, his pawn is attacked again. Bishop f8, rook d1, knight d4, knight c7 in between move, attacking the rook. And after e3, knight e6, knight b5. I was thinking that I'm better here. I'm not sure if this whole line was correct, if there's some in-between moves that I've missed, but this is at least what I was calculating here. And when I saw that queen f5 doesn't work, or as it seems, I was extremely happy, because the way he played was too passive. And after the next moves, knight d5, very logical, knight d7, f4. This is a very important move. I have to play dynamically. I have development advantage, so I should open files and just get a clear attack to his weaknesses. So after knight d5, I thought for a long time whether or not I should take with the queen or pawn, because firstly I was thinking about pawn takes, because this could finish the game immediately, like let's say like rook e8, f5, and I think I have a clear positional advantage in this position. But I was of course more concerned about the forcing line, takes, bishop takes, king takes, and first I was thinking like queen b2 wins, because if you were to move the king away, I will just have a very strong pressure here. Also the f6 square is weak, this pawn I have e4, e5 at some point. But the problem is that he doesn't have to play king h7, he just goes f6, defends passively, rook f1, queen e7, and now he has the stronghold on e5, and he will just play with his pieces, and I think that black is very comfortable here, so I have nothing in this position. Therefore, I decided to take with the queen, which also makes more sense, still targeting the d-pawn. And here after ef4, I think that after bishop g7, king g7, I missed the forced win probably, because yeah, I was contemplating between rook takes and e5, and somehow I just miscalculated that here I can take with the pawn, and it's just a very, very straightforward win. It's actually quite simple, but I was too focused on rook takes f4, thinking that I have e5 anyway at some point, and also doubling on the f file on f7 weakness. So I thought I'm just like close to winning. For example, queen e7 is a nice line where I can go e5, and after pawn takes, of course the rook is hanging like this, but I would just take here on f7 first, and after takes, I think that there's no stopping bishop h3, and also he cannot go b6, bishop b7 because the rook is hanging, so that would not have been possible for him. So he played the move queen e6, and in my calculation I was thinking that with the move rook f1 I'm just winning. And also here I was thinking about e5 first, and what I've missed originally was that takes. It's almost the same position, except that here the rook is on f4, and this makes actually a difference, because after bishop e6, rook d6, pawn d6, rook d8, my rook now cannot protect with rook d1. So he gets actually kind of a lot of counterplay here, which might be okay for white, of course, pawn up, but I did not want to allow this counterplay from afar, so I was just thinking rook f1, queen d5, cd5, stopping f5 ideas, because now he has something like rook f8, and here, yeah, I think I don't have an advantage here. He can even go bishop d3, and he's probably better in the rook in the bishop endgame if I were to trade, because my pawns are all on light squares, which is just very, very bad in this position. So therefore, I took with the c pawn, rook d7, and now I thought I'm winning on the spot with something like rook f6, but then b5, I thought this not that clear, because of bishop h3, rook e7 takes, then c4 counterplay, and I think I'm not even better here. Black is way too active. Yeah, both rooks are attacking. This one is behind the passer. It's everybody's game. So instead, of course, after b5, I just have the move e5 probably. Not sure if it's winning directly, but my opponent also after the game told me that this is just good for white, and yeah, I agree. It looks winning because of the threat of bishop c6, and the rook will be overloaded. But I went for a4, prophylactical move against b5, but now I think my advantage is gone, because after b6, rook f6, bishop a6, bishop h3, rook e7, everything falls, rook d6, bishop e2, rook f2. I think he also told me after the game, and I was also kind of expecting this move, but we were both in time trouble, so bishop d1, I think, is just equalizing for him. And I even have to be a bit careful not to be worse, because my pawns are hanging, and if this pawn is not promoting, he has 3 connected passes if he takes every pawn. So yeah, this would have been his last chance. And then after bishop d3, rook f6. Here still probably rook f8, but this is a tough move to play. And he just collapsed in time trouble now. He took on e4, and this allows a very straightforward win. d6, rook b7, d7, threatening rook f7. After rook f8, I have the move rook f7. Very nice tactical finish. And d8 queen, white wins. And after his move bishop f5, I have the nice resolved bishop g2. Rook d7, I win a piece, and then the game. And instead of rook takes d7, if you were to take this one, I will take on b7. Rook b8, and now the very nice move d8 queen. Rook takes d8, and g4, winning a piece, winning the game. And yeah, white is winning because he has to ruin his structure. Otherwise, with a healthy structure, he would have 3 pawns for the piece, but here he has 3 pawns for the piece, but it's a shattered structure, so I should be winning here. And instead of, after king takes f6, bishop takes b7, rook b8, if I were to play something like g4, there's the move king e7. And actually, I'm not longer sure who is like winning here, because bishop d7, okay, it is probably kind of drawish here. Something like this. He shouldn't lose. Also, of course, he can go to the center. King 6 makes more sense, and then play like this, probably equal. Yeah. But then, yeah, he went for rook d7, allowing rook f5, and now I'm just a piece up, and just show the rest for the, yeah, rook e7 check, king h8, king f6, now blocking, and after king g6 my opponent resigned. So yeah, that was a short recap of my first round victory. The second round recap will come soon, and yeah, stay with us. Bye bye.